Canine Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Grubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists. It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hello, everybody. This is Robin Grubel, and I am here with Crystal Wing.
Hello, friends.
And a very special guest.
Woohoo!
I know, super excited. Miss Lauryn DeGreeff.
Hello there.
Yes. So Lauryn has joined us again. She was our very, very first guest. Yes.
No, not first guest. Tabitha was.
Oh,
she was
Tabitha was.
Yeah, first scientist.
Yes. I know. But she has a super exciting thing that is coming up at the end of May. So we wanted to bring her back on to talk about that.
And I'm having FOMO because I'm going to be at school with seniors and finals, and I so want to go. So I can't wait to hear all the good stuff.
I know. And then we also want to hear about all the cool other stuff that's going on in our lab. So, Lauryn, what's going on at the end of May?
So I'm very excited because at the end of May, we are going to be hosting the first ever Canine Olfaction Science Conference. And that's not the full name. What is the full name? It is
Canine Sci Con.
It is Canine Sci Con. That's the short one. I picked a really long name, Canine Detection and Olfaction Science Conference. There we go. It is going to be held up in Miami, Florida from May 23rd to 25th. And it's being hosted by Florida International University, where I currently reside as a professor, conveniently enough.
Fantastic. And I was just looking through all of the speakers. And so one of the things everybody will get in the show notes is you will get a link to be able to either register to look at the agenda and see who all is speaking and everything. And so you have it set up so that each day has a plenary session, so has a big master session. So who are those three people?
So on the first day, our big plenary speaker is Dr. Paola Prada-Tiedemann, Dr. Tiedemann at Texas Tech University. And she's going to be walking us through kind of where canine science has been and where it's going. She and I actually both started in canine science around the same time. And when we both started, there was a lot of pushback still. There wasn't a lot of interest in science being involved in canine detection. It was hard to get people invested. It was hard to get volunteers for our studies. And it's changed a lot. People have really come to embrace it. And scientists have learned that they have to work with operational, and operational have learned that it's useful to understand the science. So it's much more of a team effort. And so she's going to walk us through how that has come to be and where we look to go forward. So that's on the day one. And then on day two, so this is technically this first conference that we're having is in support of a book that I did with Craig Schultz at the FBI. And that book is called Canines, the Original Biosensors. So Craig and I were the editors. It's a multi-author book. There's a whole ton of fantastic authors in it. It ended up being 800 pages. I don't know what happened. It got a little out of control. But so Craig and I, we are putting this conference on. So we gave ourselves the other plenary spots. So nice of us for Wednesday and Thursday. So I cannot remember who's on Wednesday and who's on Thursday. But I'm going to be talking about odor chemistry, and Craig is going to be talking about legal implications as it relates to human remains and live human tracking dogs.
Okay, so when you say odor chemistry, my brain goes in about 5 different directions.
Yeah, I was totally sitting here going, we're going to need a sneak peek of that.
Yeah. So define odor chemistry for the practitioner.
Okay, so what I do is I try to take what I do and tell the practitioner about what matters to them. So I will do a little primer on terms I use, like the term odorant versus the term odor. things like that. And then I'll talk a little bit about the science of chemistry that's going on, the kind of chemistry I do in my lab and that other, the small handful of us, other chemists do for canine detection and what that means. So a lot of what I look at in my lab is how does odor change and how does that affect how you should train? Do you need different types of training aids? Should you be aware that your training aid, the odor might be changing over time? We worry about contamination. We try to figure out what the main odorants the dog might be smelling is and try to figure out how to make better training aids. So ultimately, I just try to use chemistry to make a more proficient dog.
Okay. That makes my head hurt, but that's all good.
I try very hard not to make your head hurt when I speak.
I know you do. Actually, you do a really good job that other than the whole, oh my gosh, I have to really think about what I'm doing with my training aids. So I was just looking at the whole entire list of, I mean, you've got people from the Canadian Police Canine Association.
Yeah, he's great. Brad Gillespie gives a fantastic talk.
And I don't want to say her name wrong because I've admired her since I got into work 22 years ago. Ade Schoon. I've known Ade since I was in graduate school. She's wonderful. She gives a wonderful talk. How did you meet her? She was a sponsor. She was funding some research, not that I was doing, but that another student that I was working with was doing. And I just, she came to visit to check up on the project a handful of times. And then, you know, since I've done canine research since then, we just continuously kind of end up at the same conferences. So, and now I'm doing a little small handful of research for her to look at what kind of contamination is going on in their training aids. Interesting, because there's a whole bunch of work that has been done on scent evidence type of stuff.
Yes. So she did some of that really fundamental work on scent evidence, which is used a lot more in Europe than it is in the United States. So they do where they do like a scent lineup, like we do with visual lineup, they do it with the dogs. And she did a lot of that fundamental research, which has been really important, more so in Europe because they use it and we don't. But,
right. Excellent.
But now she's into mine dogs. And I think that she works with the rats in Tanzania with a popo, the mine detection rats. But I think she's going to be giving a talk on the mine detection dogs in Cambodia.
That's scary stuff.
It is. That's why we have dogs.
Yes.
They do not set off the landmines. They're nice and light.
Oh, wow. Huh. And you've also got a whole bunch of people from the Naval Research Laboratory, because isn't that where you used to work?
It is. I spent almost 10 years there in Washington, D.C. at the Naval Research Laboratory. So we have a couple of breakout sessions to make sure that everybody has something of interest to go to. So our first breakout session on the first day, we have, what I'm calling like the really hardcore science talks. And then we have what I'm calling the really hardcore canine talks. So on the hardcore canine talks, we're doing things more like nutrition considerations and fitness and foundations of training. And then I have my previous coworkers at the Naval Research Laboratory talking more about chemistry and chemical sensing in what I'm calling the hardcore science session.
So who would you say that is your ideal audience for this?
My ideal audience would be anywhere from a scientist, because we do have it broken out. So the scientist will get something out of it, not just operational. And then I go all the way down to the handler who wants the next level of information. So there is going to be some basic, but this is not a basic training course. So the assumption is that you already know how to train a dog, and now you want the next level of information. But we do have it set up so there is information for everybody, for all disciplines. We have breakout sessions on Thursday where it breaks out into contraband detection, which is mostly explosives and drugs, versus anything human related in the paired one. We have panel discussions, and we're having breakouts for those. One, which is a nose work subjects. And then the other one is going to be legal considerations. So we're trying to keep everybody involved from explosives and drugs through disaster, all the way through sport.
What's been the hardest thing about setting up the conference?
Time. Yes, the lack of 36-hour days. I don't know that there's anything that's been particularly hard about it. It's just a lot of things. It's just really exciting. I'm just so shocked at all the people. It's like I put a wish list together of who would be able to come speak. Robin is speaking. That's exciting.
It is exciting.
I put this wish list together and everybody said okay. And it's really, really exciting. And now people are coming all the way from Australia. In fact, it's very cool. And then FIU has been really good at supporting the back end, dealing with the registrations and money and things that I don't know how to handle.
So what motivated you to do this? I mean, this seems like such a huge undertaking. Is this something that's happened before? Is this the first time this has ever happened?
Well, motivation is insanity.
You're in our tribe then. Welcome.
Yes, I know.
Yes, I know. I feel very on brand.
You're one of us. Hug.
Right. Well, I guess the motivation is the book that Craig and I put together, and we just were talking one day and we're like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we could do a conference on this? And then all of a sudden we were, and I don't know what happened. It just happened. But to answer your question, there are a handful, DSTL, which is in the UK, that's the Defense Science and Technology Laboratory in the UK. They have done a couple of canine science conferences, and they actually are looking to start doing one annually. There's also been one out of, I want to say, Arizona State that Clive Wynn put on. Cindy Otto does, hers is more veterinary based, Penn Vet. So there are a few sprinkling, but they don't tend to stick, other than Cindy's does. But as I said, that's more veterinary based. It doesn't tend to stick, so they'll do a couple and then that's it. There's not a ton of funding in this field, so I think that's probably the main reason. Our goal is to make this biannual. I don't think I can mentally handle doing it annually. But I'd like to see it happen again. I think it's great to get all these people in the room. And I think right now, I know that the world and the science needs to be really competitive. And I think right now it's really friendly and it's very collaborative. And so I think getting everybody in the same room is going to be really beneficial for the whole community.
Do you have any idea what's caused that shift toward more collaboration?
I just think no, I don't. I mean, there's still no funding. So it's certainly not that there's suddenly enough funding for everybody. That is certainly not what's causing it. I guess it's more just understanding that there's no point in redoing the same studies over and over again, because that's a lot of what was happening is that people weren't talking. And so studies were getting redone, and there's so few of us that do it. And there's so little money. What's the point of repeating the same thing over and over again? For instance, Dr. Tiedemann and I have very similar research interests. And at this point, we text each other before we start a new project to make sure that the other one isn't already doing it. It's just much easier that way. It's nicer. Nobody gets that like horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach when a paper comes out when you're like in the middle of the exact same project.
Oh,
yeah.
Has that happened to you personally?
Absolutely.
Oh, so do you get to continue that work or do you just stop it?
You make sure that yours has some kind of different point that it's making, but
but that's kind of hard halfway through.
There's a little bit. I have a backstory. Someday over beers, I'll share that one. I'll explain it to you.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Well, when we think about some of the conferences that go on, there's a lot of conferences that are geared towards practitioners. Mm-hmm. And I know one of the things that intrigued me to be highly involved in this particular conference is that you actually had the scientists who were doing the cutting edge science, but able to communicate it to the practitioners, and then have the practitioners be able to communicate directly back. And so you guys set up this atmosphere, even from just how it's organized, that it's a collaborative type of, let's sit down and have a discussion over a beer or a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I think now that COVID's over and we're all back to conferences, I think during that period of time, we realized how important conferences and meetings and in-person workshops and all that good stuff really are because of that after hours, that time to chat. I think it's so important to be able to sit down and have a beer with somebody. I mean, I know that's where great ideas come from, is where you get these different sects of people. They may listen to their talks during the day. Maybe they didn't have a question at the time. But by the time you have a couple of beers or you have dinner, you sit down and now you start chatting about each other's talks. or other people's talks that you heard that day, and suddenly these new ideas come up. I definitely think I try to do, in my field of chemistry, you either do basic research, you do applied, and basic means like you try to figure out the fundamentals of things. And I definitely do very, very applied. I like my research to have an immediate use in the canine community. And I think I get my best research ideas by chatting with the operational people or by the questions that they ask me that I can't answer when I give talks. So I find standing up and giving talks to the operational community to be probably the most valuable thing I do in my career.
You were talking about funding, and I was curious, did your university fund this then, or how did you make this happen?
No, they didn't. I mean, they have been very supportive, don't get me wrong. And I do know that there is university dollars in a back channel. That sounds illegal. I don't mean it in a legal way. That's not what I meant.
Yes, I hear you.
They're providing administrative support.
They are providing administrative support, which I am not paying for. And in the grand scheme of the world is not free. So yes, the university is providing support in that manner. And I am extraordinarily thankful to them. But we went out and we got sponsors such as Canine Census, who is our gold sponsor.
Woohoo.
Yay. Thank you, Canine Census.
You're very welcome.
Very, very exciting. And then a handful of other sponsors. So I really appreciate all of the sponsors that have gotten in on this first conference that we're having. And then we have a handful of vendors that will be there as well. And now it's all up to registration. And I am not supposed to announce it yet, but I will announce that for our lovely people in Europe and the people who are in school, and I believe there's somebody who is like due on the day of our conference really wanted to go, that we are going to have an on-demand.
I mean, is that a reason?
Is that her due date? I don't know. Yeah. It's like kind of illegal, not illegal, but it's frowned upon flying when you're, about to have a baby is frowned upon. Yeah. But we are going to do on-demand. So it won't be live. We're not doing streaming, but people will be able to watch the conference or chunks of the conference later. They'll be able to purchase it on demand. And anybody who actually comes in person will have free access to on demand for a year.
Is this when I profess my love to you?
Yes. So it is not on the website yet because I have to figure out some logistics still. It should be on the website in the next week or so.
Nice. Excellent.
Nice.
So we are moving in that direction.
My day. Woo-hoo-hoo.
I know. I have a lot of people on Facebook that are very angry with me for not doing streaming. I have never been to a conference that's hybrid that isn't a disaster at some point. So I don't want to do that. So on demand seems great. Plus, there's a lot of people from Europe and Australia that have been asking for the streaming, and streaming doesn't help them because now they're up in the middle of the night watching the conference.
Yeah. At the point, so seriously, can they be up at 2 a.m. and really retain anything? But if they can do the on demand and go in and watch it, because one of the things that I was looking at how you have everything set up and I was like, dude, I need to clone myself.
Yeah. That's why we're making it for all the registrants. We want to make sure that they have, access to the on-demand so they can see things that were in different sessions.
Right. Because I at this point, I have friends who are coming and I was like, okay, we're going to have to divide and conquer. But that just solved that problem. So now I can have more wine. So
yes. I'm so glad.
I know.
So do you think that fundraising wise or funding wise, we'd be able to actually get some money from this to then save to make another one in the future?
Oh, God willing. That's what I'm hoping, that the on-demand will put us over the mark. So we will be able to save for the future. I mean, that is absolutely the intention, is to be able to do this again. But I'm also hoping that it goes really well. And so we'll have, great sponsors again in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
are you always going to keep it in Miami?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to do a survey at the end about, a variety of different questions. And one of the things I want to ask is location. Should we have it it is very easy to do it in Miami because FIU supports and it's local. And FIU actually has one of the top hospitality management programs in the country. So we have a fabulous convention center that overlooks the water. So it's on our other campus. And so we're holding it in that location. So it is quite convenient.
Well, and flying into Miami and, all of the major airport things and all of those sorts of things, those are huge considerations when you start thinking about conference management, especially when you have a significant number of international people attending.
I think Lambert is international.
Lambert, St. Louis? Really?
I think it's international.
Hey, that was my home airport for my entire life. Yeah, sure. It's a big fly to Canada, probably. I do believe it is international, technically. They probably fly to Mexico also.
I'm trying. And it's all about me, you know?
My parents would be very pleased if we had it in St. Louis.
Hey, I got you the hookup then. I'll get you rolling.
I don't know. Miami does have a huge international airport. It's just not really like Europe international. I've flown to Europe a handful of times since I moved back to Miami. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's great if you want to fly to South America. Less great going other directions. Yeah. So I don't know. I have to think on that.
Yeah.
Open to suggestions. St. Louis. I think there should be more conferences in St. Louis.
Oh, you just put that out in the universe. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Dead smack in the middle.
Right?
Hey, I got married an hour and 45-minute drive away from the St. Louis airport.
Nice.
And we brought people all over the place. So They did it. They were fine.
Where were you? Where'd you get married?
Quincy, Illinois is where I'm from.
Okay. Yeah, that's real close.
Just like on the border of Missouri.
Yeah. Yay.
So I'm looking through all of the attendees or the people who are presenting. And it looks like there are several presenters from Florida International University, which is exciting because are they graduate students that are going to get to present their research?
Yes, we have. Yes. So we have the way you started talking about this, the way it's set up is each day there's a plenary and then we have, and those are 45-minute talks. And then we have a bunch of 30-minute talks. Those are all the people that I invited to come out initially. And then we opened it up to abstracts where people could send us their research ideas. And those are short little 15-minute short research topics. And so I do have a nice handful of my graduate students that are going to be presenting their work. There's also a nice handful of Dr. Nathan Hall and Dr. Paola Tiedemann's graduate students that will be presenting their work as well. I'm really excited that they're coming. And then a handful of people from other locations. So by doing it this way, we were able to get a really broad number of people to speak, not just my friends.
You know, I'm looking at here's one on odor memory and training efficiency. Oh my gosh, how fascinating. By Faye.
And that's Faye's. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I know that there's also been some other research done on, you know, how long do dogs remember odors and things of that nature. So super excited. And then Anne Waterbury from the Sound Dog Connection. And I was like, yeah, tell me about that, because I was like, I don't know if I've heard of her.
Anne Waterbury, she wrote a chapter in my book. She's fantastic. She actually wrote the chapter with Craig Schultz. Anne I met, she was, oh gosh, I'm going to get the exact position wrong. She had a position with NACSW, so nose work. She was like their lead training
person. Something.
She was in charge of the, oh God, she's going to listen to this and be like, no, Lauren, you're not even close. She was in charge of the certified nose work instructor training, okay. I think. She worked for them for a really long time and ended up going out to business on her own. But we were at a conference, and it was actually half operational and half nose work. It was a strange conference. But we were at a conference. We were having a glass of wine, and I was listening to her talk to another behaviorist, and she does a lot of ethology. And yes. I was listening to them talk, and I could listen to her talk forever. I like the way she talks. I like the way she explains things. I like her passion behind it. So I asked her if she would write a chapter in the book, and she was like blown away, and it ended up being a phenomenal chapter. So she's gonna come out and talk about her chapter, which is applying science to behavior analysis. So she'll talk about what watching dogs and what they're doing tell us.
Fantastic. That's the etiology part of it. And I was having discussions with somebody about, the fact that your labs react different than your Malinois because, they're kind of bred to do different things. and, which is different than your border collies. So understanding some of that etiology will help you in your training. It doesn't necessarily have to dictate everything, but having an understanding of it can really help you understand where some behaviors are coming from in your dogs.
Yeah, I think she teaches a lot of classes. I think this will be really good. I think people will really like it.
Absolutely.
Another one that you guys might not recognize that I think you're going to really like, particularly Robin, this is just right up your alley, is Dr. Lindsay Waldrop. She's at Chapman University. She's in the biology, but she does, oh gosh, see, now here I go again. I'm going to get her job wrong, so I'm not going to say it, but she does fluid dynamics related to behavior. So she did a lot of stuff with crab-sniffing odor. Back when she was a postdoc, and now she is her own person, and we're working on a research project together, but she is going to talk about odor plumes.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, I know. I thought you'd like that. So she's going to talk about fluid dynamics and odor plumes. The fun thing is that she is also she handles a dog for nose work.
Oh, fun. Oh my gosh.
Like as a side project. So I think it's going to be really cool to be able to listen to her talk about her science, because she definitely understands it from an operational side also.
Fantastic.
I think I didn't hear that right. Did you say crab sniffing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Crab smelling things in the ocean.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. I just wanted to make sure that
What were they finding?
I don't know. I just want to know, like, I can't find funding for dogs finding explosives, but she can find funding for crabs. I don't
sniff out stuff. Yeah.
You need to find out her source.
I know. I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
And I'm not downplaying the importance of crab sniffing.
I am not either. I just want to know. I just feel like my way of going about getting money is wrong.
I want all of you to get funded. I want it all.
Yes.
So,
but what's funny? It's a really funny story how we met, because I used to use, I don't think it was actually her research, but it was her postdoc. It was while she was doing this postdoc related to crabs. I think it was the professor's paper, had these really cool odor plumes, and it was underwater, but they were really nice to look at. So I used them in talks to explain odor plumes. And I went to Chapman University as an undergrad, and I was giving like a talk coming back, like, oh, here's what I do for a job, ask me questions, students sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she got on afterwards. She's like, oh, I do nose work, yada, yada, yada. And we start talking and realized that we have mutual interests. And then I was saying something about the crabs, and she's like, oh, yeah, that was my postdoc work. I'm like, you're kidding me. I'm like, I use that image all the time. And then we ended up writing a proposal together, and the project has been really cool.
I absolutely see the use of that, of being able to understand the odor movement, because we can see it in water. So I just, I'm so fascinated. I can't wait to dig into that a little.
I'm really excited.
So now I want to see the pictures.
Yeah, this rabbit hole has to happen.
I know. I'll have to go find them. They're good though. I mean, that's all I could find. It's before I found all of Canine Census fancy.
Yeah, my illustrations,
cartoons.
Yes, my plume cartoons. I love that.
Didn't they make it into the book too?
They did.
They did.
Wow.
Like pages and pages of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was really surprised when the book didn't come back, and we're like, no, this is too many.
No, they did. And it was fantastic. My graphic artist did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah. So I was interested to see. So Andrea Pintar, who I met probably she came over to a cadaver dog workshop where I was teaching, and that they're doing stuff for locating burials for dating to the European Middle Ages, which is fascinating.
I've met Andrea a couple of times. We kind of follow each other on Facebook. I have a vague idea of what she's doing. I think that's a mutual understanding. We met each other a couple of times and we got along really well. There's only so many people who do human remains stuff, and you kind of bond on the weirdness.
We do.
She submitted an abstract for one of the 15-minute talks, and I was like, oh man, I'd love to hear her and her partner speak for longer. And then one of my speakers dropped out, and I'm like, hey, I have a 30-minute spot. And they're like, oh, thank goodness. I don't know how we were going to do this in 15 minutes. So
good.
I'm really, really excited to hear her talk as well, get an update on what they have been up to. it sounds like it should be really cool. So yeah, that's in my human odor breakout session.
Well, because when I initially met her, they were doing war crimes work for mass graves. And that's a heavy lift emotionally. And I'm like, wow. So excited to see.
So people that have been dead since the Middle Ages is probably less emotionally.
Yes.
Yeah, less emotional baggage.
Yes, I totally agree. So
we've covered rats in mines, and we've covered crabs sniffing, and we've covered middle-age graves.
We have insects.
Or graves in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
We have insects.
Insects, okay.
Yes, so we have, let me figure out what day he is.
Like when you say there's something for everyone,
I am kidding. Dr. Thalhoff from Michigan State University, he's going to talk about insect olfaction, just kind of as a comparative study. So that should be really interesting too.
And how much of this is going to be actual, like I can watch this at some point? Like, are you going to try to record all of this or just the
They're recording all of them.
We're
going to record all of them.
All of
Yes, it's going to keep my students very, very busy.
Oh my gosh.
That's excellent.
You're going to keep me really busy.
Knock on wood. The intention is to record all of them at the moment.
Yes.
Barking out the details.
Right. Technology.
You're covering everything from, there's person-born scenarios. So whether it's, guns, explosives, whatever, to cadaver, to explosives and electronics detection. And we've also got biomed with Teresa Zerberg from Vancouver Coastal Health.
Yes. So she's one of my shorter talks. I wish it was longer. I wish I could have everybody for longer. I just feel like I thought 15 minutes was a good idea. Now I feel like we should have had a 5-day conference.
Are you doing any posters? Usually?
I didn't do posters this year. We probably will have to add them next time. We didn't do it this year. That will be in the survey. Respond.
Right.
What do you mean by posters?
So at a lot of scientific conferences, you'll have if you have a small project or part of a project done, or you just want to show the overview, you'll have literally a poster, and they'll be on a foam board, and you'll put it up, and it gives a summary of your research, and whomever is, but usually they'll leave them up for maybe the duration of the conference or for a day of the conference, but there'll be a given period of time, usually with wine and cheese, where there'll be the actual researcher that did it, that owns the poster, that will stand next to it, and you can ask that person questions. So that would be,
it's kind of like a science fair without any erupting volcanoes or
I think that's a really good explanation. Yes, that's a much better way of saying it. Science fair.
So no rats or crabs or insects along with it. Just
the poster.
Just the poster, and usually some very passionate graduate student standing right next to their poster, praying that someone comes and talks to them.
Depending on the student, praying that somebody doesn't come to talk to them.
It's very true. That's actually a very valid point. So, but it's great. It's a great experience for the students because you never know who's going to walk up to you and ask you a question. And it's really Shark Tank-like in a friendly manner.
Sometimes I actually, there's certain conferences I go to where I think the poster sessions are more valuable because you get to talk to people directly about a lot of people don't want to ask a question. If there's 60 people in the room, they don't want to ask the speaker a question, especially if there's 2 minutes for questions. They don't want to do that. So posters tend to be a better place to have a conversation, which,
And they only have 15 minutes as it is. So you don't really want to ask a question and interrupt that flow.
Exactly. Right.
Huh. And you're even covering a whole bunch of stuff, or some stuff, not a whole bunch of stuff, about marijuana. Because that's a big, I know in our law enforcement circles, that's one of the big things that we have dogs who are being retired from service because they can't, there's this marijuana is now legal type of thing. So, I see a 15-minute study by Kelvin on differentiating between marijuana and hemp.
Yeah. So Dr. Frank's work, he is a somewhat recent graduate of FIU. So he's a postdoc now. This was some of his dissertation work, and he showed both chemically and with dogs that you can get them to differentiate between marijuana and hemp. They don't do it Some dogs do it naturally. Most of them do not differentiate naturally, but you can train them to do so. And then he was able to show chemically that there is a logical reason for that. So he's going to be talking about that. And then I have another student, Janet, who will be talking about geographic variation, indicating that if you train on Mexican pot and you only train on Mexican pot, that going to make location of Canadian pot difficult, for instance. So we haven't done the dog studies, but we have we have been able to shown chemically that there is differences between the odor depending on where it was grown. Or if you only wanted to find Mexican, if you wanted to train a dog to find only Mexican pot, you could. Zero.
Interesting. So we also forgot to mention the oil detection canine stuff that you have. I mean, Paul Bunker's coming in to talk about that. So I'm excited to watch that. I love
Paul. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So, and I'll just be fascinated on how they train the dogs to do it.
It's got to be on the easier side. There's a lot of oil. There's a lot of smell. But he's done a lot of work with, can you teach the dog only to find new oil and to ignore old oil? If there was if it was a new spill in the Gulf, there's still tar balls in the Gulf. So can you teach the dog to ignore the tar balls and only find the new? Can you teach the dog only to find a specific manufacturer is not the right word, source of crude oil and ignore others? So that's really interesting. And I have a student that is working with Paul, who's also talking, and we're trying to narrow down what part of the odor the dog is detecting. So she's taking chunks of the odor profile and giving it to the dogs and trying to figure out what the dogs are interested in. And this could be very relevant for better understanding of how human remains dogs are working. So what she's doing right now to explore with the oil detection dogs is definitely something that we could be doing with human remains to get a better idea of what in the world the dogs are detecting.
Right. Fascinating.
So the oil detection dogs, we're talking like pipeline detection.
No, we're talking for oil spill remediation. Although he also, I think, has interest in pipeline detection. I'm not sure if he's talking about it, but he is interested in oil spill remediation. So crude oil.
Huh. Who knew?
Who knew? Do you know dogs do it? Did you know that they're actually deploying dogs? He works with a guy named Ed Owens and who does oil spill remediation, and they work as a team, and it's really cool. They can find oil that is under the sand or under the ice or submerged in water that you would not be able to visually find.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love dogs.
I know, so cool. Dogs are pretty.
That's my takeaway already. I just love dogs.
Cool. So handy.
They make up for a lot of faults that we have.
In so many ways. Oh, in so many ways.
So, I made this big, huge list of, oh my gosh, you're covering all of this other stuff. And then I'm looking at the agenda and I'm like, oh, I missed the whole method on screening maritime containers by Samuel Wassner from the University of Washington.
Yeah.
And so what are we sampling for?
I am not going to, I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I assume from what I know about his work, I assume he is looking for illegal, either things that are not supposed to be in this country. So either illegal timber or, ivory and things like that. Pascaline. What are the cute little animals that scales? Pascaline scale. Is that what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes. I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure, but it's something in that thing being brought in that shouldn't be. And we're not talking explosives. We're talking invasive species.
Contraband.
It's contraband.
Right.
And I should honestly know because I have read his abstract, but I've read a lot.
Well, I'm sure you have, okay. So you have how many abstracts that you were juggling in order to try and get through all of this?
Hence why I don't remember exactly what he's speaking on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
a lot. We have a lot of talks.
A lot.
I haven't counted. There's a lot of talks.
There's a lot of talks. Well, and you're doing everything from, cyborg gas sensors, from someone from Michigan State talking about that.
Oh, that's the insect olfaction. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I would not have gotten insects out of that title.
They do fun things to the insects.
Oh. They have to have very small, I know. They have to have very small tools to do that to an insect.
They do. Yes, they do. I missed, we were working with, what's the one in what's the one in St. Louis? WashU. With, who I believe Dr. Saha did his postdoc there maybe. And we were working with them when I was with the Navy, and they did tiny bug surgery to put little packs on them to make them into explosive sensors.
Okay.
I don't even have a really.
I just remember being like, they're like, we could bring it to NRL and we can test things there. I'm like, I don't need to be in the room while we're doing bug surgery.
And then I'm having Ant-Man flashes, right? So oh my gosh.
So he's going to be talking about insect olfaction, and then he's going to be going into more novel technology out there, like what we were talking about. But I think it's really interesting because insects ultimately use olfaction similar to canines. And it's really interesting to be able to compare the two. And then additionally, something like putting sensors on dogs is a really interesting move in the future. Can we have the dogs give us even more information if we team them up with technology? Yeah.
Can we augment? Well, which is
not physically. I'm not, for the record, anybody listening, I am not saying surgically implant anything. I'm more thinking of attach something to a collar.
A wearable.
Yeah. We're not implanting anything in dogs. FIU does not implant anything in dogs.
This is where all the hate mail starts.
Right? Yeah. Oh, no, they're going to put antennae on our dog. No, it's a wearable. It is a wearable.
On a backpack.
So, right. I'm excited to see the vapor generation and delivery for canine testing and training, which is Braden.
Got NRL written all over it. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then Dr. Otto and Dr. Perry doing nutrition and health and fitness. So this is one of those conferences that if you can't find something to go to, you're not looking very hard.
I mean, I'm really biased, but I agree.
Yeah. So now that this has become your part-time job, in addition to your full-time job, since we last talked to you about a year ago, what's new in the lab?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea what was going on a year ago in the lab, but that's a great question. I have a whole slew of graduate students. I think I'm up to 9 now. So we have all kinds of good stuff going on. I have a couple of lovely ladies that are where I will point out that I have 9 female master's and PhD students. So very proud of that.
Fantastic.
Mostly not my fault, mostly because for whatever reason, our program really attracts female scientists, but I'm all for it. Anyway, let's see. I have a couple of lovely ladies that are doing human remains work. So one is going to be looking at when that transition between live human and dead human scent happens. Another one is going to be looking at how in the world do we store these things so they still continue to smell like they're supposed to and not grow mold and act different than they would in the real world. So that's going to be a really good utilitarian project. I have another couple of students that are looking at, I have several students that are looking at contamination from different angles. So I have one that's making a contamination indicator. So something you can put in your kit to tell you when you think that you potentially have cross-contamination occurring. So when your training aids start to smell like each other.
Fantastic. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. And then I have another one two really that are doing a survey of contamination and how badly do these things really get contaminated? And then like, what do we do about it? So she's looking at, okay, if you just leave it sitting on the counter, like, does the contamination go away? How quickly does it go away? Things of that nature. And that's been a really interesting project. Does C4 sticky? Does it get more contaminated than something like ammonium nitrate? Like things, she's looking at things like that. Let's see, what else do we have going on? I have the marijuana project we talked about. I have this neat biomechanics project that's working with Chapman University, looking at if sniffing biomechanics changes depending on what they're smelling. And the direction we think that is going is that it doesn't so much change what's going on in their nose, but more how they act with it. So we're hoping to pray to the funding gods, get maybe funding on follow-on research to get a better idea of should we be training dogs differently for different types of odors if they are working them differently. So that's going to be really interesting. Who else do I have? I'm missing people. Oh, I've got a good buried IED project that we're doing. And then I have the oil detection. We're doing some stuff with Surfside and decontamination with Dr. Perry. Whew, whole variety of things.
Oh my gosh.
This is what happens when you end up with so many graduate students, you end up with so many projects, but it's so exciting. It's really great. I'm so happy to be in academia and be able to have the opportunity to do all of these different projects.
Well, and all of those have very real world application sort of outcome type of, that could actually help us as practitioners on how we manage our training aids or how we train and all of those sorts of things. So that's super fantastic.
And it really plays into where you said earlier that you really enjoy the applied part of it. And that really shows. I wonder if that's one of the reasons certain graduate students are drawn to your programs, or, you know, there might be something there that's happening.
I will say that I do not have a single graduate student that does not like dogs. So there is definitely a specific type of person that is joining my group for sure. That is I have all of the dog sitters in the world. It's fantastic. I have no babysitters in the group, but I do have a dog sitter.
And some days that's okay.
But I do think when you're going, it can be very daunting to go into a chemistry PhD program. And I think maybe not for everybody, but for some people to be able to almost touch the real world application of it is, again, like I'm biased, like that's what drives me. And so I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Same. It's very appealing when you feel like you're right there to help somebody. And that's,
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on your mindset. I think other people really want to know, like there's the tinkerers and then there's the people who want to like hand you like, here, look what I made for you, as opposed to, ooh, can I take that apart? And I'm more of a, hey, look what I made for you than can I take that apart?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So we are going to put in the show notes how you can register for the conference.
Great.
So everybody will have access to that. Lauren, is there anything else you want people to know besides dress because it's going to be warm?
Oh my gosh, it's so hot
in Miami to prepare for the conference.
No, I'm just really excited. You know, get your thinking hats on. It's going to be a lot, but I'm hoping to have good drinks afterwards. We're definitely going to do some kind of coordinated outing on Tuesday, so everybody can get together and chat afterwards. I'm hoping that people get a lot out of it. But yeah, registration is still open, and we would love to have you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your super busy schedule to beam in and give us an update on everything that you're doing.
And I have to especially say thank you that you're including the high school teachers and the people abroad and the ones that are having babies. Like we are so thankful for you, because there's no way that I could make it. And I've been just total FOMO this whole time when Robin's been talking about it. Oh, Robin, what are you presenting?
Oh,
yes. Why don't you talk about yours?
I am presenting because of my whole interest in coaching the human end of the leash is actually the fact that canines are the easy part. And so talking about canine handlers and my thoughts on how effective ways for training them So that's my little blurb. I'm still in design mode on that one, and what to try and get out in a half an hour, because oh my gosh,
that's a lot to get in half an hour.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you very, very much for having me. I feel like I should be thanking you as opposed to you thanking me. I appreciate that. And thank you to Canine Census for being our gold sponsor. That's phenomenal. We really appreciate it. We really need it.
You're very welcome. So when it came out, I was like, oh, sign me up, because this is where Canine Census lives, in that bridge between science and practice. So
you both are the applied people. Like
Yes.
it's such a perfect match.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's really important that both sides are talking to each other. I'm glad that the operational community is starting to accept the science. And I think it's also important for the scientists to realize that if they want to do this, they have to be working with the operational community. You can tell when studies were set up by people who don't know the operational side and they don't make sense.
Yes.
Or they're just not applicable to anything. So I think the two sides really need to work together.
Perfect.
I have a question with that too. It seems like a lot of the studies are like 8 dogs. Why is that? They're just so.
Because dogs are expensive.
Oh, is that what it is? Really?
No. Well, it depends on who you're working with. But if you're trying to do green dogs that have no, like you want them to be with blank slates, that's usually a cost and space issue because there's kenneling involved. And once you get kenneling involved, it's hard. If you do, like Dr. Hall gets them from the shelter, so he's not buying dogs, but you still have to kennel them.
Yeah.
If you get, I use nosework dogs a lot, which is a really good way around it because they're green to what I want, but I don't have to keep them or train them. So that's very helpful. That's really great. But then if you do operational dogs, what I find is you may have 17 that agree to be there, but half of them will be deployed that day, or somebody will get injured, or yada, yada, yada. It's really, really hard to nail down enough dogs at one time.
Huh. Fascinating. Yeah, because so many of the studies, it's like, well, it was 8 dogs. Like, really? Is that really?
I'd be really happy with a study with 8 dogs. Like, a lot of them are like 3.
Wow. Okay.
Huh.
I know. I get so much crap from statisticians when we're applying for our IACUC, which is like the animal care use. They're like, what do you mean you're going to have 10 dogs in 3 years? I'm like, because that's what the funding is paying for.
So we need to get lots of dogs in Florida for you.
They're like, but it's not statistically relevant. I'm like, correct.
Yeah. It's so hard.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for answering that, because that's been a curiosity I've had for quite a while. And I'm like, there's got to be a good reason for it. It's not like that's like the best number to have.
No, I have this pet project that I'd really like to show that we could use rats and do we can do fundamental studies on rats and get tons of them. And then we can follow it up with like 8 dogs.
Yeah.
But nobody's buying that yet.
Oh,
but
that's a shame.
That's what I think we should do.
Yes.
I know.
It makes so much sense.
You can get like 50 rats.
Yes.
And then have scientific valid or statistically valid.
Yes.
Right.
Statistically valid.
Yes.
Yeah. Alas.
And they got great little sniffers. They just don't live long enough to do a lot of the jobs we need.
Correct.
Well, now you can also use crabs and insects. And
I could use crabs.
Yes.
Insects are really hard to train.
Yeah.
I have so much to learn. I can't wait. Thank you so much for sharing all of this.
Yeah. Well, no, thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome. Everybody, make sure you go out and register. Links are in the show notes, and
and link the Canine Original Biosensor book too.
Yes,
I will do that, and I will link I have a discount code, and I'll give you guys that as well.
Okay,
because it is a very large book.
It is a large book,
and on demand is not on the website yet, but I promise it will be there.
So yeah.
And you can use it as a platform for your dogs. You can use it for weight training. So there's lots of other uses for it.
There's lots of options for the book. Absolutely.
It's very large.
So we'll keep all of that. All of that will be in the show notes. You can find the registration to go. Make sure you keep checking the website to find the on-demand version. And we hope to see everybody at the end of May.
Canine Detection Collaborative. We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to K9DetectionCollaborative.com. That's K9 DetectionCollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.